Pundit is the football trivia game. Every sale using the code LIONS at checkout now gives a whopping 40% discount, plus a £10 donation to the Lions Food Hub. Visit punditgames.co.uk to order your copy. punditgames.co.uk, code LIONS.
Hi, I'm Gary Rowett and you're listening to the world famous Achtung Millwall.
Welcome, dear listeners. Welcome to the most evocative name in football, the selectcarleasingstadium.com here in Reading, or on the outskirts of Reading, I should say. The Lions are, of course, this afternoon's visitors, wearing red and black this afternoon, Reading in their familiar blue and white hoops. I think it was Angelo said on the show last week that our season starts here. So it does. 11 games between us and a shot at the big time. Your Lions this afternoon, dear listeners, in goal George Long, backline Murray Wallace, Charlie Cresswell, Jake Cooper, Danny Mack. The defensive midfield 2, Jules Saville, Ryan Leonard. The attacking 3, James Rouse-Vogel, Samo, Zian Fleming, George Honeyman. Up front, the man of the hour, the Sky Championship Player of the Month, Tom Bradshaw. Both teams are out on the pitch. It's a very grey, cold afternoon here in Berkshire, the Royal Borough of. Never a stadium that you look forward to coming to somehow. I don't know why, really. I'm parked next door in the what was the old Greyhound Stadium once upon a time. It's quite convenient to get to and from. Bit of a mare of a drive though. Maybe that's me a bit of a downbeat boom. This is a must-win game, dear listeners. We've got a big week in front of us. Reading this afternoon, midweek action against Swansea, and then Huddersfield Town at home next week. We've really got to be looking for a maximum return after that disappointing loss at home last week to Norwich. Unlucky loss, I think, by common consent. As you can hear, 2,100 and odd Millwall fans have travelled up. I think there'll be more around the rather sparsely attended stadium. The Millwall end is quite tightly packed. The rest of the ground is spread out. Lions come into the game this afternoon in 7th position. Played 35, won 15, drawn 9, lost 11. Goal difference of 6. I didn't put that down on my notes. 54 points. Reading 15th. Financial problems, Reading, I think I'm going to call them that. Played 35, won 13, drawn 5, lost 17, minus 16 goal difference, 44 points. This is a must-win game, as I've said already, listeners. No place to hide this afternoon. It's going to be the Lions to kick us off, attacking the Eamon Dolan stand, the home end, I suppose, such as passes for a home end. Away we go. You can hear the Millwall supporters' views on drums and matters thereof. I haven't name-checked the Venerable Bede. I don't think he was silent on the matter of where Reading attacking it in the first half. He didn't comment on that. I don't think he was too bothered about that. He spoke only about Millwall. Free kick on Reading's left side. They've got, of course, never remember his name, big forward, ex-West Ham slag. Can't think of his name. Go out of my head. 1 minute in, free kick for Reading. Halfway inside the Mill half on the left. Swung in, that's headed clear by Tom Bradshaw. Mill had everyone back for that. Tom Ince, of course, drawing a bit of flack for his managerial dad, Paul Ince. Lesambassadeurs.com. Gamble, must be a casino here. The Ambassadors Club. Lesambassadeurs.com. Advertise on the big screen. Reading now, coming forward on the tumble in the penalty area. What's that? Number 9. What's his name? What's that 9's name? I can't think of it. Reading 9. West Ham player. What's his name? The boy got it. The boy got it. Andy Carroll. Could not think of that slag's name. Andy Carroll went tumbling down. From the mouths of babes, dear listeners. 8 minutes. Reading pressing forwards here, straight into a red wall. As the saying goes, they are getting the ball back a lot though. We are conceding possession pretty quickly. The ball breaks. This is now Tom Bradshaw in the middle. He had no one there. Finds Zian. Oh, through on goal. What can Zian do? He's beat the goalkeeper. He's gone tumbling. Penalty. Zian tries to take it around the goalkeeper. Gets clattered. Millwall penalty. 8 minutes into the game, listeners. Nice break from midfield there. I think Zian had taken it too far. Off. Yellow, I would have thought, listeners. He's come out, spread himself to get the ball, but taken Zian instead of the ball. It's going to be a Millwall penalty. Vogelsammer's got the ball. Ryan Ellis standing over there talking to the goalkeeper. I think the goalkeeper's trying to do a bit of verbals, but Ryan Ellis intervening there. Anyway, it's going to be Vogie to take this with. Ticking towards the 10th minute now. Goalkeeper jiggling sidewards. Doing a bit of crossbar rattling. Big penalty, big moment. Vogelsammer to take. Top right hand corner. 1-0 Millwall! Top left hand corner. 1-0 to the Lions, listeners. Really, really nice penalty. Top left hand corner with power. Support. Believe, listeners, they believe, all in capital letters. Full stops between each letter. Believe. Mill's first and only break of the game so far. 10 minutes in, I know, but still. Strong player on the ball, Zian Fleming, listeners. Way muscled his way through there and drew the foul. Really, really strong. This is Andy Carroll. Especially forgetting his name, listeners. That's what happens to you when you get older. 50 years plus watching Millwall, you start to forget players' names. Praise for Gary Rowett in the August journal, The Athletic, which is part, I think, of the New York Times enterprise, praising his work over the last few seasons, basically talking about the work that he's put in, the rise of Millwall from relegation candidates each season to now being regular top 10 finishers and talk of the top 6, obviously. They use the example, his work has been based on the Japanese system Kaizen, business principles, continual improvement, Kaizen. Fancy that. That's the kind of thing you get when you get the New York Times coming down, listeners. One of the Millwall players has been decked there whilst I was waffling on about the Kaizen principle. Who's it down? Looks like this is Saville. Looks like Saville's down. In all seriousness, it was nice to read a positive piece in what is a fairly high-profile sports website. Praises the work of Gary Rowett, Millwall. Good stuff. Maybe the kind of coverage we're going to expect if we go on to continued success. Here we are, 20 minutes in. Lions leading by that penalty from Andreas Vogelsammer. Not been a huge number of chances. Ball down the middle. This is Tom Bradshaw. Volley's over the crossbar there. That's going to be a goal kick. Not huge amounts to report. It's been a scruffy game, in all honesty. But obviously a scruffy game that we're leading rather than that we're behind in. That was an awful ball out of defence by the Reading defender there, straight down the middle, straight to all the way back to Jules Long. They're a club in financial difficulties, as I said, I think at the start of the show, listeners. Neil was talking about them yesterday on the Something for the Weekend preview that we do. Look at a 9-point deduction. Whether that'll be this season or or next season, I don't know. Serves no purpose if it's carried forward, in my opinion, but a 9-point deduction will put them down in amongst the relegation mix. The boy knows, not only did he know Andy Carroll's name, he's also got a fair assessment of where Reading should be in the world. They may well be down there if the points deduction has its intended effect. Yeah, Tom Bradshaw, Championship Player of the Month by public acclamation. Big well done to Tom. It's really, I said this on the show yesterday, it's fantastic to see such a nice bloke. He comes over really so pleasantly in his interviews, or bits that you see on social media. Fourth place in the scoring charts for the Championship at the moment. But for that drum, you wouldn't really know there are Reading fans in the ground, listeners. Free kick from Millwall again. Cresswell taking the bash there from Carroll. I was trying to analyse why the ground obviously has a reputation of being a sanitised, one of the worst examples of the retail park stadium, which it certainly is. There's nothing wrong with it. The view is okay. It's a bit Meccano in look. The roof supports look like a bigger version of the Meccano set. The younger listeners might be wondering what that is. And the outside was some nice kind of fan zone, bars, and I had a quick look around the meat, burgers and hot dogs and all that kind of thing. And they got a jazz club around here. That made some efforts to try and turn it into something. But it remains in the end, I suppose, stuck out some distance, 3 miles outside of the central part of Reading, where there might be some semblance of the place that the club purports to represent. The actual stadium itself is not bad. The view's fine. I've got a great view. No atmosphere, apart from the drummer. But that's not down to the construction, that's down to the fans that come here, isn't it? 31 minutes in, it's been scruffy on a cold day. Lions not looking in any danger, if I'm not tempting the gods of football by saying that. I probably am. There'll be 1,000 people around the world listening to all the listeners, hundreds and thousands, millions of listeners that we get saying shut up, mate. There's a lot of debate online about Jules Long and his goalkeeping abilities, but he was given a very difficult ball back there. He controlled it well. He just gave himself a little bit of space on the ball whilst the Reading player was coming forwards to pressure him, and put a good line pass up the side. A footballer's pass, if you want. So I suppose the conclusion, if you want, to the Jules Long debate is he's a good footballer and an average goalkeeper. He does make some good saves as well, so maybe that's being harsh. It's a ball down the side right channel for Tom Bradshaw. The show's going to go all the way back to the goalkeeper. 33, coming towards 34 minutes, listeners. Cresswell, bit of payback on Andy Carroll there, who's rolling around like he's been shot. Possibly some damage to his ponytail. Big old Jesse, as my dear old mum would have said. Big old Jesse. Swung is the instant takes. It's a deep one. Cresswell beats. Carroll's rolling around every single time he gets challenged. That is complete feigning injury, listeners. I can take that from me. He went for a 50-50 challenge with Cresswell, got his head to it. He's then gone to ground, and there was a moment where he remembered to clutch his face. That's a complete feign injury. That's the Millwall fans' viewpoint, and I've got to make them right, listeners. Some nice play here, don't you? Almost Ajax style. Zian nice little back heel there from Vogie, trying to find Zian Fleming. Gets crumpled. It'll be a free kick Millwall. Really nice stuff there. You could hear the Olays going. Reminiscent of Ajax 74, dear listeners. 44 minutes. There's going to be a free kick on the left side in the Reading half. Not a few yards short of the halfway line. Paul Georgins, he was a bank robber. Georgins. Paul Ince, having something to say down there. I'll have to look up Georgins. Wasn't he one of the London Villain, I think, wasn't he? Anyway, free kick taken short. This is now Vogelsam on the right side. His ball fired in. That's going to go for a left-sided throw, listeners. There's a half-time whistle. Well, halfway there, listeners. Job done so far. It's been a scrappy game. Mill certainly having the better of that scrappy affair, leading by that critical Vogelsammer penalty. It was about 10 minutes in, 9 minutes in, something like that. So there we are, half-time. Reading 0, Millwall 1.
Achtung, Millwall.
Nice interview in the South London Press, listeners, with Charlie Cresswell, talking about the strength of the away support. 2,000 sellout today, of course, here at Reading. 2,100 odd have travelled, but Charlie was saying how much it gives the team legs when the crowd are behind them. Not an awful lot to react to here in Reading. The home fans are extremely quiet, of course. But still, the away support is doing its best to push the Lions over the line. 45 minutes to go then. We're leading at 1-0. This will be a massive start to a huge week, if that's not maximising my vocabulary. Lions will be attacking the away end in the second half. Away we go. Reading kick us off. Floodlights now on a grey, harsh day, very cold. I was saying the other day to my missus, there's nothing. We get listeners all over the world with these shows, and some of them will laugh at the idea of British reactions to cold and snow and so on. But I honestly contend there is no cold quite like British colds. It's damp. You can go to foreign climes and the cold will be dry and almost pleasant. It can be, lower temperatures than this. But what you don't have is that essential British miserableness, and that's what this afternoon's on. Grey skies, leaden skies. And now the floodlights on, illuminating the Green Majeski Stadium, Select Car Stadium, sorry. Big shout out to Miss Honeybow, who has contacted me via the Insta to let me know that the Vogelsammer's penalty was a dive, she says. She's down at the Reading end this afternoon. Big shout out to her. I'll have to see it again, Honeybow. With the benefit of the YouTube playback tomorrow. Looked alright from my end. I wouldn't mind you 100 odd yards away from it, of course. But really, really nicely taken penalty, top left-hand corner, with authority, as they say in American sports. Here come Mill down the left side now. Vogie, ball crossed into the middle. It's almost crept in. It was a poor cross in truth, but no one touched it. It was creeping towards the left side post, but goalkeeper got across to it. Game seems to have opened up a little bit in the early part of the second half. I'm actually sitting in front of that drum for the whole 90 minutes. Doing my head in, that would, listeners. This is Reading in midfield. The 8. It's gone through to Jules Long. Bill Slack posted a meme yesterday of, was it Statler and Waldorf off the Muppets? After Neil and my show. And I'm aware that you don't want to really produce a moaning old git kind of show, do you? So if you do hear me turning into that moaning old git, listeners, do let me know. Do keep me informed. I don't want to do that. I want to be bright and breezy, upbeat, part of the modern football world, Reading with a long diagonal ball forwards, trying to find Carroll. For a big man, he doesn't put himself around much. I mean, it's still 52 minutes, so we've got 40 plus minutes, just under 40 minutes to go. So far he's been largely ineffective. Let's hope it remains that way. I thought when they signed him it was a really good signing, strong signing, but he's shown nothing this afternoon. Breaks. Millwall player down injured. Holdings is doing his nut. Dark arts here, there's Danny Mack gone down. Just as Reading were about to break down the left and put the ball into the danger zone. I think that's top work by Danny Mack, listeners. 58 minutes. Referee's going to restart the drop ball. Ball flashes across the Millwall penalty area there. There's no one was switched on there, thankfully, not even the Reading forwards. 59 minutes in, listeners. So far, so good, Millwall. Nothing hugely exciting to report from the Reading point of view. And as long as that carries on, this would be a massive result. Anyway, 59 minutes, come towards the 60th minute. Murray Wallace now takes it really nicely. Vogel Sam overlapping on the left, 61 minutes. Logie takes his man and gets the ball into the box. Across the goal, that was almost touched in by the oncoming Zian Fleming there. Big chance there, Millwall. This is now Honeyman. Danny Mack puts the ball back in there. Zian tried a back heel affair, but that runs away now. This is Reading with a chance to break. 62 minutes. Much more open second half. First half was a fairly dull affair. Second half has got a bit more pizzazz to it. Such as might pass on a really cold afternoon in Berkshire. This is the 9 now on the left side. Ball floated in, that's headed clear. Mill just got to stay switched on here. This is Honeyman, does well to draw the free kick there. Take the sting out, nice work. George Honeyman. Starting to rain out there now, listeners. It is a hard day. This is Jill Saville, finds Tom Bradshaw's offside. 63 and a half minutes. Come towards the halfway mark of the second half. Lions doing very, very well to stay that slender one goal with that slender 1-goal lead. This is Reading on the right, who tried to get the cross in straight into Ryan Leonard. Looks like he's took it in the belly, so he's gone down winded. It's Honeyman, not Leonard, sorry listeners. Long way away from where I'm standing. Right sided corner though. 66 minutes. Chance of Reading to get the ball into the danger zone. That's into the near post, bouncing around. Still bouncing around on the right side now. Another chance to cross the ball in. In it comes. It's a deep one. That's headed clear. We'll just give him possession back at the moment. Reading a little bit of a spell on the right side again now. 66 minutes. 66 and a half minutes. That's headed clear. Mill soaking up pressure, listeners. Looking to hit Reading with a long ball out from defence. Gary Rowery, I think one of his interviews said that we can't match other teams for spending in terms of creativity, but we can match them in terms of the way we play, and we've got to make the most of what we have. Reading with a lot of the football in our half in this second half, 71 minutes. This is Reading pushing forwards now to the penalty area. Shot high over the bar, thankfully, from the Dean. That's their first real effort on goal. Thankfully it was always going upwards. 73 minutes. Substitutions from Millwall. Who's this coming in and out? Hutchinson coming in. Oliver Burke coming in. Looks like it's Zian. No, it's Vogelsammer coming out. And George Honeyman. Burke will certainly bring pace, so I imagine that's going to be a 3-man central defence with Hutchinson in the mix now. I'm guessing. Ball breaks. This is Zian finds Oliver Burke now on the left side. Defender spinning back in front of him. What can he do? He gets space by Zian. There was a moment there I thought he might have had a shot. He didn't. He kept possession. Gone backwards. That's a disappointing outcome there. There was a moment where Burke I thought was going to have a go, but he didn't, and that went off the boil after that. Listen. It was blunt and to the point, listeners. 81 minutes in. Anyway, we're defending a long throw situation here, so let's not count our chickens. So back on the right side now. This is Reading having a chance to get the ball in. That's back heel cleared by Zian. Almost finds its way through to Burke. Certainly flamboyant, Zian. He don't mind the back heel, the boy. Cross towards Charlie Cresswell. Balls to Jake Cooper. This is now Tom Bradshaw loose inside the penalty area. Shot wide. Very tight angle, in fairness to him. 83rd minute. Gone for a goal kick. Reading fans streaming for the exits. 87 minutes. Only a goal in it. They've shown very little this afternoon, listeners. I'm hesitant to tempt fate here. We've never really looked in that much danger, but still some time to go. The ponytail seems to be a very popular hairstyle in amongst the Reading squad. There's a 16 down there with a ponytail similar to the Andy Carroll look. Maybe that's what rules on the streets of Reading. I don't know. Mill's not challenging well. There's ball coming in from the right. That's going to be a corner, left-sided corner. 3 minutes. 3 minutes of extra time. Left-sided corner for Reading. Just need to see these last 3 minutes out. Tense stuff, listeners. Late corner for Reading. Left side, in it comes. It's deep over the heads of everybody. Calls for a penalty there. That's good. Should go. No, it's just saved it from going for a throw-in. Ball breaks. Oliver Burke in full flow. He's quick. He's got Zian overlapping him. Through to Son Bradshaw. He's just run away from him. Fleming wanted on the inside of him there. That would have settled matters. Stadium is emptying all around us now. It's just 1 minute to go of added time. Fantastic 1-0 win. It was a scruffy game. No one for the purists. Not a classic by any stretch of the imagination, but that was a real test of endurance, and Mill came through with flying colours. Reading 0, Millwall 1. That's a massive 3 points. Start of a huge week for us. What a way to begin it, listeners. Superb performance. Man of the match this afternoon. The defence really kept Reading at bay all game. Going to give it to maybe Cresswell, maybe Jake Cooper. Saville midfield, take your pick. Maybe Saville, George Saville midfield. But really it was a team performance there. Superb stuff, Millwall. 1-0 at the Majeski Stadium.
Achtung, Millwall.
Hi Nick, John Rankin here, just calling in after the 1-0 victory at the Majeski Stadium, or the Select Car Leasing Stadium as it's known now, and we're just sitting in the car park, waiting to be let out from what looks like a Premiership League ground. I'm looking at a sort of spacecraft type construction, but we won the game. And I thought we run out deserved winners. We had a little look at the stats, and we only had 40% possession in the game, and both sides had 2 corners. They had 1 yellow card. I mean, we looked pretty evenly matched, to be honest with you. Reading had 3 players, Shane Long, Andy Carroll and Naby Sarr, who looked like they had something about them, but the rest, maybe Tom Ince, so that was 4. And our defenders nullified them really well. I want to have a shout out to Andreas Vogelsammer and George Long, actually. I thought George Long had a fantastic game. Didn't really see him make any mistakes whatsoever. Having said that, Reading didn't have a shot on target. So our defenders were absolutely like a solid brick wall. And Reading resorted to playing a game that we can handle, which is crosses into the box. That's the only thing they offered. And, we can have that all day long. We got Cresswell and Cooper and Hutchinson who can win those headers. We just soaked up the pressure, really. It was painful watching it, hanging on to a 0-1 lead when the other side's kind of parts in your half, which they were in the second half, is always a bit jangly on the nerves. But we come away with 3 points. Also, I want to say well done, Andreas Vogelsammer. This lad's come in for a lot of stick recently, and I think it's completely unfounded. You have to accept that players make 1 or 2 mistakes. You don't just denigrate a player in totality because he gives the ball away once or twice. Andreas Vogelsammer has the most assists for Millwall this season. He's got 5, and that was before this match. Zian Fleming's only got 2 assists. So that's why Gary Rowett is the manager of Millwall, and we ain't, basically, because the stats don't lie. And I just want to say what a fantastic job he took that penalty. I mean, talk about how to handle pressure. With all the stick he's come in for recently, he walks up, puts the ball, he's a long way from his supporters, he's down the other end, and he lets that fractured engine of a right foot go and slams it right into the top left-hand bin. beautiful. I mean, I think the goalie got a touch on it. He's a good goalie. He pulls off well. He saves that. Lovely. But he had no chance with it. So well done, Andreas Vogelsammer, and well done all the team. Everyone played their part. I thought George Honeyman had another great game. I thought the midfield held up well with Sam and Honeyman, although I still do think I would like to see Billy Mitchell in there, just for the break up the play and a bit of ball retention. The back four played well, so we're happy supporters. The crowd played their part. Rowett was very friendly towards us before and after the match, and it feels good. You know, we're together. And on to Swansea at the Den. They're going to react because they've had a 3-1 defeat, I think. So we got more work cut out of the Den. But onward and upward. Over and out. Come on, you Lions!
Morning, Nick. Jim Hackett. Just a quick chat about yesterday's game, really. I can't think of a worse game of football I've watched for a few seasons. It was. I thought the quality was poor, not made any better by obviously some of the players playing. I thought Reading's style of football didn't lend itself to the game. Our passing didn't help anybody because it just was all over the shop. But ultimately, we could have won by 2 or 3. Long had nothing to do. The referee, very stop-start, but then obviously when you win those sort of games, it doesn't matter. When you lose them, the referee gets the blame. So I'm not surprised Paul Ince was moaning and groaning about it afterwards. I think in terms of personnel, you know, you can't argue with the team he put out, and possibly the subs could have been slightly earlier, but even when he brought them on, it didn't make too many differences because Reading really offered very little. One thing I would say about Reading, I thought they looked slow, heavy. I thought they looked unfit, which is sort of pretty poor at this time of the season. But when you looked at some of their players, they all had quite wide backsides, and that's normally a sign of a lack of fitness. So maybe it's just me, but they didn't look up as fit as our boys anyway. For me, the main players for us, I thought, were obviously Cooper and Cresswell. I think Cresswell now is suddenly he's turning into a gold dust for us. I think he's up for any fight that's going. He likes the challenge. He likes to play football. And yesterday up against Andy Carroll, he probably learnt a couple of valuable lessons, you know, how to deal with, you know, man mountains who've got that experience as well. So very happy with him. Cooper, I thought, played a nice steady game, and he seems to have settled down himself where he doesn't always need Hutch now. So yeah, very happy with them. And then obviously the two in the centre midfield, I thought Saville, again, for me, he did really well, and then he just seemed to run out of steam for maybe the last 15, 20 minutes, and that's where sort of Leonard stood up a little bit more. I thought Leonard was fantastic, and we do have that issue in the centre midfield now. When everybody's fit, who's going to come in and who's going to do the job? Because I think there's 4 good players in there with them two, Billy Mitch and Shackleton. So yeah, I think that was good. Fleming created the goal just with his ability to keep hold of the ball and run with the ball. And I thought all throughout the match, he was the only one for us who looked like he could do some damage. But again, I think Bradshaw runs his knackers off, but there wasn't really a lot of end product today, and the passing into the front players wasn't great. But yeah, overall, in a poor game, I think we well deserved the win. It was always great to see the West Ham connection getting stuffed, so very happy with that. And obviously throughout the game on the TV anyway, you could just hear the supporters, because you know the Millwall support yesterday was fantastic, and the longer the game went on, the better it got, I thought. And towards the end, last 5 minutes, all you could hear was this the great Monk chart and all the great songs that were coming out. So congratulations, Millwall, a great win. On to the next one, I think Tuesday night, and good luck. Come on, you Lions.
Achtung, Millwall.
So there we are, dear listeners. As you can probably tell from the comparative paucity of my in-game footage yesterday, it wasn't an awful lot of incident in that 1-0 win. Excellent 1-0 win up there at the Majeski Stadium. And if you take a look at the YouTube footage today, you'll get a sense of how little incident there was across the whole 90 minutes of the game. Yes, it was a harsh and scruffy game played in the epitome of the modern soulless retail park stadium, but it was 3 massive points for us thanks to that excellently struck Andreas Vogelsammer penalty on 11 minutes. Incidentally, I wanted to just mention the through run from Zian Fleming, which drew the penalty. I've watched it again this morning. I'm sure as you have too, dear listeners. Some question as to whether it was in or outside the penalty area in real time. From my vantage point, I was down at the away end. I thought it was a fairly clear and obvious penalty. Whether it was actually over the line of the penalty area, don't know. It's quite hard to tell from the from the YouTube footage. Some fairly sour comments from Paul Ince, a player I've never taken to. The governor. I think I was trying to think in yesterday when it was freezing cold down. I was trying to think, why have I never taken to Paul Ince? There's the obvious West Ham connections, and then he went on to Manchester United and this whole governor thing, which just seemed to me to fall apart in the 1996 European Championships when the penalty shootout famously against West Germany, in the semi-final, when he didn't take a penalty. I thought, well, there's the governor for you. Basically went hiding in a moment where you'd have thought his reputation would have thrust him forwards, and of course the rest is history. Stuart Pearce, was it Stuart Pearce or was it Gareth Southgate? I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, it was missed and he went a-missing. So from that point onwards, I've never actually held a grudge against him for being West Ham. Well, that doesn't help his cause clearly, but the quality of these comments afterwards too. This is Alex Grace reporting this on social media. Alex Grace of News at Den. Big shout out to Alex. The moaning kind of quality, and I think that's probably what doesn't endear him any more than some of the other aspects of his personality. Ince says, one mistake, that's all it was. It was always going to be a scrappy game because that's how Millwall make it. Like he's some kind of, his team's Barcelona or something. I mean, in all honesty, as you would have detected now from the footage, they only had one shot in the whole game. And that went over the bar, high over the bar, into row Z. That was their one effort of any note. So I don't know whether that's that should be good defending. He should have it within him to praise the defence, because they certainly didn't create jack shit, listeners. He says here, I can't say the players haven't given their all, because they have. Well, if that's their all, Paul, that's not very good, mate. It was never going to be a classic with the way they play. That's Millwall. They do the basics right. They defend for their lives and they do it well. They are fifth in the league. To me, that's a nonsense comment, because if we do the basics right and Reading don't, and they are or were 15th, where are they now? Let me have a quick look. 16th after that loss yesterday. If we do the basics right and they don't to that level, then clearly we are the better team. He mentions the referee. The standard of referees has not been great. It's the business end of the season, and they need to get these decisions right. Well, looking at the YouTube footage, it's a very close call. Some you get, some you don't. But what a well-struck penalty by Vogelsammer, a player that's been taking some heat in recent times. The rest of the performance by Vogie and the rest of the side was a fighting defensive rearguard action to keep hold of those 3 huge points. At the moment, and I'm speaking to you as Norwich and Sunderland is in action, it's 1-0 at Sunderland at the moment, so that might change before the end of this recording. But at the moment we remain in 6th spot, which is massive, with this game looming against Swansea on Tuesday night. For me, yesterday was a Rowett defensive masterclass. Again, there's a manager that's been subject to a lot of comment, criticism, if you want, over the years. I think finally, now that we're seeing some measure of success, again yesterday at the end of the game, there was the One Gary Rowett song sung by the away end, and maybe finally there's a bit of a sense of mutual love that's coming together. Certainly, if he can manoeuvre us into the playoffs, the lottery of the playoffs at the end of the season, then that will be some performance with the resources and all the other things that we talk about. Man of the match yesterday. It's actually quite hard to pick a single man of the match for me because it was a fighting team performance. It was a tough game. With a lead, it made it a lot more. I don't know about softer because it was cold and harsh in that stadium yesterday, but certainly a lot more agreeable to be in a grim attritional battle. One goal ahead than it would have been chasing it as Reading were. I'm going to go for George Saville, but in all honesty, if you said to me Ryan Leonard, or if you said to me Charlie Cresswell, or if you said to me any of the other players, I wouldn't really argue because it was a fighting team performance. But I'm going to go with Sav because I thought that we kept them very, very quiet, but it is hard to pick one. Just going to go through a few posts on social media in the aftermath of that excellent win yesterday. There's one here from Grumpy Grimace, comparing points totals in the Championship with Millwall's points totals in the Championship with 10 games to go. So comparing this season where we are 6th now with 57 points, last year at the same stage, 10 to go, we were 11th on 54. Season before again on 54 points in 10th position. 10th position in 2019 to 20, 51 points. Poor season 2018 to 19, 21st with 34. That was a dip season. And then obviously 2017-18, 52 points in 11th. So we are remarkably, one step ahead of where we've been for the past 6 seasons, which keeps coming back to the same point. What an achievement it is for this squad and Gary Rowett in particular. Alex Grace mentions Gary Rowett's post-match comments. One that stood out for me was Vogie. Brilliant penalty, listeners, honestly, in real time. I thought the goalkeeper got close to it, and I thought on another day maybe he gets a hand to it, I don't know, but certainly it was buried with power into the top left-hand corner. Precisely the kind of penalty that I think, speaking for you now, I'm going to speak for you, certainly for me, I love a power penalty buried into the top corner of the goal. I can't bear these stop-start, feint one way, send the goalkeeper the wrong way. I like a good old school, an Alan Shearer penalty, to throw my current controversial name into the mix. I like an Alan Shearer penalty which blasted in. That's what Vogie delivered yesterday. Apparently he said to Gary Rowett, not to me, said to Gary Rowett, I'm German, what do you expect? Of course I'm going to score. I like that kind of Germanic arrogance, listeners, to use a wartime comic stereotype. Tony Monday, great post here, Tone, I love this one. Another 3 points, says Tony, another away win. Cresswell owning the West Ham pony. He was awful. This is Andy Carroll, and I could not for the life of me remember his name. This is what happens when you do these kinds of shows, listeners. Sometimes the most obvious things escape your head. And big thank you to the little kid that said it was Andy Carroll, because that pulled me out of trouble yesterday. The West Ham pony, as Tony puts it here. Lenny, Sav and Honeyman were all fantastic again. And Zian Fleming, what a fucking player he says. Takes everything on the half-turn, body strength of a boxer and feet like Rudolf Nureyev. I love that quote, Tone. Strength of a boxer and feet like Rudolf Nureyev. That's a winning combination. I'm not a huge fan of boxing, but those out there that are pugilists and understand the sweet science, I think everyone knows that that's the winning combination: strength and delicacy on your feet. That's certainly what we're seeing with Zian. There's another little follow-up quote for that here. This is from JP Millwall 2. He was told yesterday, don't know who by. Anyway, I like this sauce, JP. I don't know who this sauce is, or how strong it is, but we like it. Got told yesterday that Fleming realised when he joined us that he was way off the physicality needed in the Championship. So he smashed the gym and put on 5 kilograms. A proper professional. He has his own PT, his own private trainer, his own nutritionist, etc. That's a follow-up to Richard Corley praising Fleming's body strength when Bradshaw played him through. Not many people muscle Zian Fleming off the ball, and I was just trying to think earlier on a comparison, and different kind of player in a way, not quite the same player, but he reminds me a lot of Terry Hurlock. There's a name to drop into the mix. I think Zian's probably got more creativity with the ball than maybe Terrell did. Terry's probably a little bit more defensively minded in midfield, perhaps, but certainly both of them master midfielders, and we've really picked up a massive asset with Zian Fleming. One from Luke Stannard here, massive shout out to Charlie Cresswell, absolutely outstanding, dominated Carroll all game, same point as was made earlier on there, Luke. He gets better week after week now and miles ahead of where he was at the start of the season. I definitely agree with that. He's a really, really strong and improving player. He came to us with huge promise, Premier League, in I think England under-21 international, if I'm right. And it's quite hard to see that on occasions early on. He made a good start, didn't he, scoring on the opening day, but otherwise it's not been, it's been a season of improvement for Charlie, but he's certainly starting to hit the stride now. That's wonderful to see. He gets better week after week, says Luke. Deservedly keeping Hutch out of the side now, and that's a big, big statement. If somehow we need to buy him. We'll see. Obviously, a lot depends on the outcome of the season on that front. Ben at the Den, sums it up yesterday. He wasn't pretty. He certainly weren't pretty, Ben. I can vouch for that, mate. But a fantastic performance to dig in and grind the win. It was a grind. You captured it nicely there. So important to bounce back after last week's loss. Massive 3 points now onto 2 home games before the break. That's Swansea Tuesday night and then Huddersfield next Saturday. Huge week ahead. Great start. 3 points. We've really got to hammer home those those points on Tuesday night, Saturday night. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Just to close us, I endorse this emotion here from Gavin. Gav's travels. Whoever took a flare today, don't do it again, for fuck's sake. It's embarrassing. We don't do that shit. So that's in the Millwall end of flare. No, we don't, Gav. I'll make you right. 100% right. We don't do flares at the Den. There we are, dear listeners. I hope you've enjoyed the show today. We're trying to pack a little bit in today. We've got another show, obviously, in the aftermath of Tuesday. I'm speaking to Neil, I think, tomorrow. We'll see when we get that done, but that's going to be another history show. We'll be back after the Swansea game with another Achtung Millwall. And finally, just a big shout out to Omar of that Millwall podcast. Nice to talk to you, Omar, on the way out yesterday. Top bloke, and also I think it was Kai was there as well. I saw him as we were exiting the Majeski Stadium yesterday. A big shout out. Do give him a follow. Do give him a listen. Why not? Let's spread a bit of love around the Millwall scene. It's looking good for the week ahead, listeners. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Until the next edition of Achtung Millwall, it's Nick Hart here signing out. Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.
Stop press, or at least stop the garage band running, dear listeners. Just as I was about to publish the final edit of the show, I've got 2 late contributions. First up, we're going to have one of the favourite contributors to the show. It's Mr. Bill Slack with his thoughts upon yesterday's match. And then once we've finished with Bill, I'm going to come back with an email that I've received from another recent guest, Mr. Mike Bissiker. So let's run Bill's post-match voicemail from yesterday.
Hello, Nick. Bill Slack. I seem to remember you doing a pod on what constitutes a Millwall legend, and I've got quite a controversial suggestion for you after yesterday. After Andy Carroll, that Games of Thrones looking prick, clumped Charlie Cresswell in the first half yesterday. Charlie Cresswell made it his life's work to smash his forearm into that bloke's face at every given opportunity, and I don't think I've seen many more examples of Millwall than that. It was absolutely fantastic, and fair play to the lad. I know he's been a bit wobbly. He cost us a goal against Norwich and all of that stuff, but this is what you get when you loan young players. They're coming here to learn, and you have to accept the fact that they are going to drop the odd bollock. But that was fantastic for him yesterday, and he's welcome back here next season just on the strength of that performance. He was fantastic. I was really critical of the players, of the team yesterday, the tactics, the substitutions, but I think I'm beginning to work out. It's because I'm in a constant state of stress. It means so much, doesn't it? I don't think I can watch Millwall and make a logical summary of how we've played. I had a look at it again today, the highlights and all the rest of it, and Reading never laid a glove on us. They had one shot from Blintz that didn't get anywhere near our goal. No shots on target. We just defended fantastically well. And I'm shouting at Rowett yet again on 70 minutes, make a change. But he's looking at that thinking they're not getting anywhere near us. As far as this squad of players is concerned, I couldn't be prouder. They are giving us everything. Genuine blood, sweat, tears, the lot. It is such a privilege to watch this lot. You got all these big clubs all up and down the leagues with these players costing tens of millions and millions. Players on 60, 70, 80 grand a week, and you get our lot turning up. Our best players probably on 20 grand a week. Just showing them what it's all about, what it means to play for a proper club. It ain't about 70, 80 grand a week. It's about fighting for each other, and the pride in them performances is it's just a privilege to watch. I've got to be honest. Really, really proud Millwall supporter here. So we're on to Swansea on Tuesday. I remember Swansea coming down to the Den a few seasons ago and giving us an absolute football lesson. And I remember thinking, blimey, if that's the standards that we've got to reach to get anywhere in this division, we've had it. They played us off the park. Go and have a look at the table now. Go and see where they are compared to us. Our football changes. So let's turn them over. Let's take another 3 points and see what the table looks like Tuesday. I've just seen Norwich have just lost to Sunderland. Could this be the year? Another mental night under the lights, in a playoff semi-final to get to the Premier League this time. Who knows, mate? But what an absolute touch that we're still talking about it with 10 games to go. What a season. I'll speak to you soon, mate. All the best. Come on, you Lions. Come on, boys. Keep it going. Come on, you Lions. Come on.
Achtung, Millwall.
Huge thank you to Bill Slack. He like all best divas, he's late, but it's always worth listening to, isn't it? That's a bit like, Diana Ross, Mariah Carey, Jennifer Lopez, Bill Slack. So I mentioned an email that I received, again, quite recently from Mike Bissico. Again, following on from yesterday's game at Reading, a bit of a conflab online about why we only had 2,100 tickets. And Mike has contacted me and says, being a local for Reading, he lives out that way, I'll attempt to answer the lack of away tickets. Apparently this season, the Majeski Stadium away end was split into two. And the purpose of this was to accommodate a singing section, listeners. This is always a favourite thing of the modern supporter, isn't it? To have a singing section. Apparently Reading have introduced a singing section. You would not have known that there was a singing section yesterday, unless it was who's the composer, the avant-garde composer that did Silence for 4.5 minutes? Was that John Cale? 4 minutes 33. I think they may have adopted that approach, complete silence. Mike says he can't work out why they chose that end and not the other end, as it was presumably to match or try to match the away support. It doesn't work because they are a notoriously quiet crowd at Reading. The thing that he can't work out is the loss of revenue, because every team this season is limited to the same number as us, 2,100 odd. And there are several teams who would bring in excess of 3,000 fans. He's talking about Sunderland, Sheffield United, QPR, to name but three, plus Millwall would have taken a lot more than 2,000. And for a club that's in financial difficulties, he speculates whether they'd make enough money to pay for Andy Carroll's hairdresser. He says he can't work out his incompetence of financial irregularity. So there we have it. The reason we only had 2,000 fans, although they were mighty sound yesterday, dear listeners, was to accommodate the non-existent, totally silent, completely avant-garde Reading singing section. There we are. Huge thank you to Bill and to Mike for that late contribution. I had to get them in because this is the purpose of the show, dear listeners. So until the next edition of Achtung Millwall, it's for a second time Nick Hart signing out. Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.